Hello again. We are back in the shop today to continue on with our last arch door. I have one side already assembled and put together. Have a look at this. So everything came together really nice. So today on the other side of this door, I'm going to show you how I achieve these mitered cuts on the rails and stiles. Here are the two stiles left and right for the next side of this arch door. As you can see, currently the detail is solid all the way through, and our rail pieces are square on the end. So in order to get those two tied together, first you take it over to the miter saw, and let's see if we can see that a little better here. Cut a miter on the detail of both sides. It's very important that you have it lined up with the end of the detail there, the square line. Otherwise that'll affect how well the joint goes together when you're gluing and assembling. So those two cuts are right on the money. This is just a sample piece. I already have my middle rail and bottom rail over here, and they are cut and ready to go. To make the cut on the stiles, in order to receive the rail, start off by making a mark. So this is my bottom rail. I'll flush that up right where I want it on the bottom. Take my pencil and mark where that detail ends, and that's going to tell me where I need to make the miter going that direction on that piece. For the middle rail, we'll do the exact same thing. I've already made a mark on here, measuring up from the bottom where that detail needs to start. So I'm going to line that up with my mark I've already made. Go ahead and extend that mark on down, and then mark the other side. And that's going to tell me where the short point of my miter cut will be when I take it over to the saw. I'm going to flip these over and mark my other side, and then we'll take them over to the miter saw, and I'll show you how to make that cut. This is my miter saw setup for cutting the miters in the stile pieces. I have the saw set at a bevel, 45 degrees. This particular saw will bevel both directions, so I'm going to cut all the cuts that go this direction, and then flip the saw over to the other side and make all the miter cuts that go that direction. I have a spacer block on the saw itself so that it holds my trim out beyond the circumference of the saw, so that I get a nice clean cut right to the face of my detail. And it looks like this, just a simple box. This is actually part of the arch form that I was using, so I recycled it for my spacer miter saw. I have my first stile up there and ready to cut. Now I have my guard shimmed up that, that can be a little dangerous for some, so in this particular case I have to because it interferes with the spacer that I'm using here. So I like to sight down the blade and get fairly close to my line. These cuts need to be precise, so I usually will cut a little beyond my line and then work my way over till I get right on the line. Slide that over. I got one more cut to make it that direction on this piece. And I am happy with that. So when that's done, it looks like that. And it just barely came through on the back side, which is no big deal at all. The most important part is getting it right on that square line. So I'm going to get the next piece and cut those, and then reset the bevel to cut the other direction. Alright, in order to reset the bevel on this saw, it's got a lock here. I'll loosen that lock. This is the set pin there, so I release that, and that allows me to rotate the saw over to the next 45 position. Once I get close, there's another set pin lever on the other side, so I'll put that set pin back down, and then that will snap, lock me into place on the 45 position, and then I'll lock it back down, and I'm ready to cut. Now we have all the miters cut. We're ready to take this over to the table saw and remove this material here. Here we are at the table saw. I already have it set up for the cut I need to make. It is very important to make sure that this cut is precise. If you take a little too much or not enough, it will drastically affect how well the rails join to the style and how tight everything fits up. So I have this set perfectly, and I'm going to make my first cut. Now with that first cut made, here's my sample piece, and you can now see how that will join together and make a nice miter joint. So to cut the center one, I'm going to lower the blade back down all the way. Make sure everything's clear of debris there. And I'm going to line this thing right up over the top of the saw blade. Turn the saw on and start raising up. Very careful not to go through your detail. I want to get as close as I can get without going through. And I'm going to lower that back down. How the center rail will fit in there. So I'm going to go ahead and make the cuts on my next piece, and then we'll go into the next step of the assembly process. Next step is to go ahead and dry fit everything, make sure everything looks like it's fitting together correctly, make sure you don't need to do any trimming on anything. If everything's looking good, we want to mark for biscuits. We're going to use two forms of methods of putting this together. One will be biscuits, the other will be pocket hole screws. But we'll start marking for our biscuits, and then we'll set up our pocket hole screw jig to drill for those. I have all my biscuits marked out where I need to cut, and this is my biscuit joiner here. And so it basically slides back and forth, exposing the blade there, which puts a nice slot in your material to allow for one of these. This is a wood biscuit. It has a center line right here on the biscuit cutter that you'll line up with the line that you made, and you want to mark both sides of your piece on that same line so that when you make the biscuit slot, everything lines up and you glue it together. And that's basically what the slot looks like. I'm going to go ahead and make all the rest of my biscuits, and I'll bring you back when we're ready to set up for the pocket hole screw jig. I flipped the side that I already had finished around so you can kind of see the pocket hole screws and how I set those up to put everything together. And they work very well along with the biscuits to create a permanent bond between the two pieces. Here is my pocket hole screw jig. Here is the drill bit we'll be using for that. It has a smaller tip on the end to create a pilot hole for your screw, and then the larger part of the bit creates the pocket hole. There are different types of pocket hole screw jigs. This is just a basic one that you can take with you anywhere and everywhere. up in our jig, clamp that down nice and tight. It's got holes on the back side for your bit to slide right down into. It puts you at the perfect angle. On this one, we're going to do both holes. Unclamp that, slide it over to the other side, and do the same thing. Unclamp it, and then we have our perfect pocket holes for joining the rail and the stile together, and the biscuit in the middle. I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. It's getting a little bit long, so I'm going to do this in 2 parts. So part 2 will be the full assembly of the door. I'll see you next time.